Welcome to Second Take, the show that focuses on the issues behind the news. The Chamber of Mines is embarking on an identity and name change program and will use the Zambezi Protocol as its guide. Mining Weekly editor Martin Creamer tells us more. Welcome, Martin.
Thanks, Sashnee.
Now, the Chamber of Mines will undergo an identity and name change program. Why is this, and what will the new name be?
It's a 120-year-old organization, and it's gone through many histories, and I think it is seen now to be narrow. It is seen to be fragmented, but worst of all, it is seen to be, in a certain period of its existence, a supporter and an underpinner of apartheid. And that policy, was declared a crime against humanity, and it still lingers and it still interferes with discussions with stakeholders, with workers. It still has a legacy that is damaging. They want to take that baggage once and for all and hurl it in the dustbin of history. But of course, they've also got to make sure that they do some reparation. And that is another part of the identity change. You want to start from a new beginning. You want to start fresh. If you haven't done any make goods, it's not going to help you.
Now, you've mentioned that the Chamber is moving towards radical reform and is taking steps to make good on the effects that apartheid had on the industry.
The terrible effect was the migratory labour. That migratory labour should have ended in 1948. And you read in the part of the Cry the Beloved Country book, which is fiction. There's only one genuine person's name in that, and that's Sir Ernest Oppenheimer. And when he moves into the Free State, he says, at last we'll be able to get rid of this migratory labour, and that people will be able to live together as a family. They'll be able to live together as a family, and their family life will return as we move to the Free State. But of course, that was a terrible year in South Africa's history, 1948, because that's when we actually moved into apartheid. That's when the National Party gained a narrow victory, a foothold victory, and then grabbed on and kept on, making sure that the segregation policy was enforced. So it's against that background now. You're sitting with issues from that legacy migratory labour. They're saying now all the single gender hostels have been phased out. So that is done. You don't have single gender hostels on the mines anymore, which was part of that migratory labour situation. There's also more options for housing coming through. They're going to have to watch those, because we know that those living out allowances have caused absolute havoc, because if you continue to draw labour from remote areas, the people see themselves as temporary sojourners when they get to a mine. And if you give them a living out allowance, they tend to want to take that living out allowance option rather than live in a accommodation provided. And we've seen what happened at Marikana, where they got those living out allowances. They thought to themselves, my real family's in the Eastern Cape somewhere. I'm going to just set up a shack as close as possible to the mine gate so I can get in and out fast. Put up a shack. You find there's no sewage, there's no water, there's no refuse removal. And because you have now got the living out allowance, you don't have the benefits of them washing your uniforms and washing your overalls and all that sort of thing. So, when you've got that day off, you've got your big basin there and you're washing your overall, and passing is a young girl, and she laughs her head off, and says, look at the men, they're doing women's jobs. And the next minute, she says, well, I'll do that job for you. And the next minute, they have a situation there where they've got kids together. Those kids are then playing on the rubbish dumps at school time. So, there have been terrible unintended consequences from a lot of these things, even post-apartheid. So they've got a lot to do. There are other visions that are coming up as to how they can make good. Among them is the fact, and I don't know whether this will be taken in but it's certainly being mentioned, and it has been mentioned, by the new president, that they are looking, in his view, the mines have got such huge tracts of land, and they've got such access to water, that he has put forward this idea before he was president, of using that for the near mine communities. Why not involve them in agriculture? Because you go to those near mine communities, you find they do provide some jobs, they get some jobs from the mines, but a lot of people are idle, and often they come to the gate looking for help, the mine gates, and most of the time the mining companies don't know what to do with these people. But if they had to really work on something around the agricultural option, making use of these vast tracts of land, a lot of water from the mines, mines generate a lot of water, they pump a lot of water. Twin with that, and you can see that there's also potential for renewable energy in these areas. They could energize themselves. So hopefully we'll see a broader situation rather than this narrowness that we've had from the Chamber of Mines. It's a Chamber of Mines, it looks blinkers on, straight ahead at the mining issues. It doesn't look holistically enough at how it can benefit the economy, and possibly even around the linkages that mining creates, there could be some way of including that. So into a new era, new name. It's not just going to be a new name, it's going to be a completely new modus operandi from what I can see. The starting point is our strategy around the Zambezi Protocol. The Zambezi Protocol looks at the real genuine situation in mining and says, Africa needs to get more out of mining. How are we going to do this? And from the name you can see it's not only South Africa, it's looking in an African context as well, how this can benefit the whole continent. And it might even have to look at situations, as the Zambezi Protocol says, of what is a fair wage? How much profit should mine make? What mines make? What should they do? What should they be doing as a minimum? I think it'll be new thinking for the continent. It'll be good.
And the Chamber is also looking to increase its membership.
Yes, it wants to increase its membership. Here it's got 75 members. Now, we normally associate the Chamber of Mines with these huge mining companies, a mining house, and we used to have about 5 huge mining houses, and they dominated. They want to try and step a little bit further. They have got the quarries in now, so you have a lot of quarries, some of them big, some of them small. The Association of Quarries, the SPASA, is a member, and the Claybrick Association bringing in smaller members. Then they've got an emerging miner desk where they try and help emerging miners emerge and get to a fully fledged state. And you can see some of the previous presidents of the chamber are actually helping with this so that they can get these smaller operations in. So they're looking for a broader base. They're looking for a lot more people to help out because you don't want everything on your shoulders. Get more and more people in, but it's going to have to be quite well managed and well thought out. But we know how much these mines could do for this economy if they were operated correctly. Of course, one of the first things the Zambezi Protocol says, mining must look at itself in the mirror and realize it's getting smaller. It's not this big giant anymore. But that is dependent on the market, and obviously the world doesn't always demand as much minerals and metals, but if it starts growing, if urbanization does start accelerating, as it's not doing at the moment, it is still there, it is growing but not really accelerating, it would change. It could change overnight. These could be very big again and very important contributors. So in the meantime, they're saying, be content with being smaller, get your engagements going with government, plead with government not to have too much red tape, make sure you're benefiting and floating a lot of boats, not just the one big boat with your shareholder. You must try and help all your stakeholders and bring in ideas, be innovative, and hopefully we'll see something that will grow here that we won't even remember the Chamber of Mines anymore, because it will be a new thrust with a very positive vibe and a new beginning.
Thanks for speaking with us, Martin.
It's a great pleasure, Sashnee.
That's it for today. Join us again next week for more news and analysis on South Africa's mining industry.